Welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning about the Blend command. We're on the Surfaces tab, and let's start by creating a planar surface. Now let's make a copy of it. Home tab, Copy command. Select the surface, right-click to finish the selection, choose a base point, and a Move To point. Right-click and enter to close the tool. Let's reposition our copy. 3D move, select the surface, right-click, and let's drag it up the Z-axis and release it. Now we've got two surfaces, one on top of the other. Let's go to the Surface tab and click on the Blend command to activate it. First, I'm going to select all four edges of the bottom surface. Right-click and enter to finish my selection. Now the second surface to blend. I'll select the four edges of the top surface. Right-click and enter to finish. Now we've got the option to specify geometric continuity as well as bulge magnitude. First edge bulge magnitude 0.5, same for the second edge, and press enter to accept the blend surface. And let's just orbit our model to take a look at the results. Okay, let's undo that blend. Activate the blend command again. Select this edge, right-click and enter, and the second edge, right-click and enter to accept. And press enter to accept the blend. Let's activate the command again. First edge, right-click and enter. Second edge, right-click and enter. Press enter to accept the surface. At the corner between these two surfaces, we've got a gap, so we're going to need to blend that together as well. Activate the blend command. Select the first edge, right-click and enter. Select the second edge, right-click and enter again. And press enter to accept the blend surface. Okay, let's select all three surfaces and delete them. Now let's take a top view. I'm going to create a hole in the top surface, and I'm going to use a solid to do so. I'm back on the Home tab. Activate the Ellipse command. Axis End method, Major Axis Endpoint, the second endpoint, and now the Minor Axis Endpoint. Let's take a home view. Extrude our ellipse. Right-click and enter after we've selected it. And let's drag it above the top surface, as you see here. Let's use the Solid Subtract tool now. When you cut a surface with a solid, sometimes it works out okay, and sometimes AutoCAD will give you a warning. So let's just check this out and see what happens. We select the object to subtract from, our top surface, right-click. Now select the object to subtract, the cylinder, right-click. And our cut executes without any trouble. Now let's cut a second hole. It'll be in the bottom surface, and we'll use a cylinder primitive. Center point, base radius, and the height. We need to drag the cylinder below the bottom surface. So as you can see, the cylinder is extruded above and below the bottom surface. Let's press Escape to deselect everything. Activate the Solid Subtract command. Select the object to subtract from. Right-click. Now the object to subtract. Right-click. Now let's blend our surfaces. Go back to the Surface tab. Activate the Blend command. Let's select the elliptical edge. Right-click and enter to finish the selection. Select the cylindrical edge. Right-click and enter. Then press enter to accept the blend. As you can see, this kind of works like a loft. Let's undo that blend. Activate the Blend command again. Select the elliptical edge. Right-click and enter to finish the selection. And now all four edges of the bottom surface. Right-click and enter again. Press enter to accept the blend. And here's the result of our work. Let's undo. Let's activate the Blend command. This time, I want to see what happens when I use a closed profile. On the bottom, I'll select three edges. Right-click, enter. Now we should be able to press enter to accept the blend, but AutoCAD was not able to calculate that surface. Let's try it out a bit differently. Here I'll just select one edge, and for the bottom surface, I'll select two edges. Right-click and enter, and press enter again to accept the blend. This time, AutoCAD was able to create the surface. But as you see, it's not very clean. Let's pan this entity left and let's create another example. This time, I'm going to create some support geometry. I'll start with a box. Height, something like this. Next, I'll apply 2 arcs. Let's use the start-end direction method. First point, second point, and direction. Let's create another arc now. Same method. First point, end point, and direction. Okay, let's hide our box. Right-click, isolate, hide objects. Now let's activate the extrude command. Select one arc, right-click and enter to finish the selection. And let's left-click to specify the height. Extrude the second arc, select it, right-click and enter, and the height. Let's apply the blend command now. Surface tab, blend command. Select our first edge, right-click and enter, second edge, right-click and enter. Geometric continuity, we can change it and the bulge magnitude if we need to. When you're done modifying these 2 properties, press Enter to accept the blended surface. And here is the result. Let's undo that blend. We'll try one more example now. For the first surface edges to blend, I'll select these 3 surface edges. Right-click and enter to finish the selection. Now the second 3 surfaces. Right-click and enter to finish the selection. Here is our blend. Let's modify the continuity property. In a situation like this, you may be able to create the surfaces, but sometimes they won't be very clean. The transitions might be too abrupt, or maybe you'll end up with a bow tie effect where the wrong corner connects. A bow tie effect would have this corner connected to this corner, and this corner connected to this corner. As you can see, the Blend Surface tool is another AutoCAD function that lets us create fairly complex non-planar surfaces. This concludes our tutorial about the Blend Surface command.